In order to prevent the next case of Ebola here, the U.S. continues to shift troops and now war funds to the effort in West Africa. Julianna Goldman is in our Washington bureau with the latest on the American efforts to contain the virus. Julianna, good morning.
Good morning. The United Nations Special Envoy for Ebola warned on Friday that unless we see a mass mobilization on a global scale to support the affected countries in West Africa, in his words, it will be impossible to get this disease quickly under control, and the world will have to live with the Ebola virus forever. With dire warnings from officials around the world that Ebola may be spreading out of control, U.S. lawmakers converged on Dallas Friday and pressed government agencies for a plan.
Americans are seeking assurance that our federal, state, and local officials are doing everything in their power to keep this virus outside of the United States.
Representative Michael McCall chaired the special hearing at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, where Thomas Eric Duncan arrived last month and this week became the first person in the U.S. to die from the disease. McCall was one of several lawmakers who asked why the Obama administration opposes a travel ban between Ebola-stricken nations in West Africa and the U.S. Dr. Toby Merlin, director of the CDC's Division of Preparedness and Emerging Infections, said it would undercut efforts to contain the disease.
We feel that that would cause the disease to grow in that area, spill over into other countries, and then spill over more into the U.S.
In Washington, the Pentagon won its request to immediately shift $750 million in war funds to fight the disease at its epicenter. Republican Senator James Inhofe was the last holdout. But in a statement, Inhofe said, "After careful consideration, I believe that the outbreak has organization in the world able to provide the capabilities and speed necessary to respond to this crisis is the U.S. military." The funding will cover a 6-month mission to deploy up to 4,000 troops in West Africa, ultimately building 17 treatment facilities with 100 beds each. 100 U.S. Marines arrived in Liberia earlier this week, bringing the total number of American troops there to over 300. USAID Administrator Rajiv Shah will visit several Ebola-stricken countries next week. He's the highest-ranking U.S. official to travel there. The agency already has a response team on the ground in Liberia and Guinea, but USAID says the hazmat suits aren't fit for the intense African heat. And Anthony, the U.S. is funding research to design new suits that allow the medical staff to work with patients for longer periods of time.
Julianna Goldman in Washington. Thank you, Julianna.